The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight or at cockcrow or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all, watch." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Lord, make us turn to you. Let us see your face, and we shall be saved. With the words of the liturgy today, we begin a new liturgical year. The season of Advent welcomes us into an expectation. Our hearts begin to expect the coming of the Lord. Not only the remembrance of his coming at Christmas, but the coming of the Lord at the end of time. To someone who perhaps doesn't know much about our liturgical practices, Advent looks pretty much like Lent. It feels like Lent, actually. It is more like Lent than it is like Christmas. It's a little shocking because we come to the church and we see purple, the color of penance, the color of repentance as well. It's very different than as you may find it at Macy's, which is very colorful, by the way. People begin to celebrate Christmas too early nowadays. So it's like we don't savor the moment and what it is for, what it's all about. It is a watch. The season of Advent invites us to reconcile ourselves to the Lord. The difference between Advent and Lent are not only that they're similar in liturgical color, but the direction of the season is also different. During the season of Lent, we're called to look inward, to look for repentance, especially for the things that we carry within our hearts. 40 days of fasting is called to us so that we can purge, as it were, the sins that we have in our hearts. The season of Advent invites us to look outward, onward, out there. The invitation of Jesus in the Gospel today could not make that clearer for us. Watch. Not inside your heart, but out there. As if there is something beyond ourselves that we need to turn our sights to look there. Be watchful, because someone is coming. It's different than looking inside our hearts, but it's actually be watchful. Look out there. Someone is coming. That is hope. It is a season of hope because it invites us to look for the one who is to come. Looking beyond kind of challenges us to think ourselves as someone who's growing forward. Our soul moves forward to meet the Lord. And in that process of moving forward, it challenges us to grow beyond ourselves, to be more, but also to have a direction, to look at Jesus Christ as the one that we are waiting for, to look at him as our model, as our example, and as a source of hope. Today, in the liturgy, the prophet Isaiah, the prophet of Advent, as we will reflect on him for the next few weeks, with a heartfelt stray addresses to God on behalf of the people, speaks to God, and says to him, "There is no one who calls upon your name, who rouses himself to cling to you. For ye have hidden your face from us, and have delivered us up to our iniquities. There is no one who calls upon your name." How fitting it is for us and striking to reflect on those words and apply them to our world today. Very few search for the face of God or call upon Him in their time of need or in the time of joy as well. It seems to reflect certain panoramas of the world that we live in today. Cities where life becomes anonymous and horizontal, when people are always looking out there to look for that which can make us happy. What better example do we have than Black Friday, I think. We went to see a movie. I'll tell you a little bit about that movie. But looking for a place to park. It's an interesting adventure. At the mall, I never thought that all the parking spots were ever full. I always kept wondering, why do they have these parking spots so far away from the mall? I know why now. They're for Black Friday. But there is a sense of frenzy in the air. People honking, the streets are full, and there is a rush in order to get whatever it is that we're trying to get. It is ironic, I think, that one day after we give thanks to the Lord for all the things that He has given us, we go out and search for the things that we do not need. There is this frenzy in our culture in which we turn everything to horizontal. Everything is capable for us on the horizon of our life. But we forget to look at the vertical perspective of life, to look at the direction, the watch, to look at God who's coming. We believe ourselves as human beings that we are the architects and direction of all things, that our life needs to be planned out according to our needs, that we are the source and the end of everything. With a certain arrogance, our culture today gives emphasis to construction, to work, to the economy, to transportation, to the technology, to the latest things that we can have. Everything seems to depend on man and for man alone. And this world that appears almost perfect at times, as if it was a stage for a mall, let's say, we pretend that everything is fine, that everything is perfect, that everything is under control. But in this world, we find the unexpected, disturbing things that can happen, some natural or some caused by society, which is why we think that God has, as it were, withdrawn, kind of left us outside. Somebody sent me a message over Facebook, one of those messages that reach priests from someone that I really do not know. But the question was very simple. Can God abandon us? Can God abandon us? Is it possible for God to abandon us? Is that something that happens to us in a world like ours? As I said, I went to see a movie called Rosewater, which I highly recommend. I'm very tempted to tell you the whole movie today so that you don't have to watch it. But it's worth the $7. Which I went on matinee. But anyways, that's another story. The interesting movie is about a journalist who was kidnapped or arrested by the authorities in Iran. And he was held in an Iranian prison on solitary confinement for 118 days. Many stories like that happen around the world every day. People who are deprived of their freedom for no reason whatsoever. The movie was not a political statement, though it had some political tones to it. It was to show how the mind works, how the human spirit survives in situations like that. When one is being tortured or held captive with no specific reason, when you have done nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. It comes to a point in the movie where the man by himself being interrogated, trying to be pursued to say things that he did not do, gets to a point and he loses all hope and says in a moment of despair, I am forgotten. I am forgotten. In the world like ours, in which we are caught up in so much busyness, we too feel forgotten by God. Sometimes we feel that God just withdrew and that we live in a confinement of our lives, being tortured, as it were, by all the stresses and all the things that we have to do in order to keep surviving, without knowing exactly why is the reason of our suffering. Does suffering have a reason? Those are important questions for us to ask and to ponder as the Lord invites us to watch for His coming. In fact, it's an illusion. The man thought he was alone in solitary confinement, later to find out that he had a whole world of support out there waiting for him. That bubble in which we sometimes live without God leads us to the idea that there is no hope, there is no future, there is nothing out there. And the longings that we feel within our hearts are but empty pains that have no purpose of being. If the devil is going to tempt us, he will tempt us to think that we're alone, that God is not there, and that nobody else cares. The season of Advent is a season to look outward, to look beyond the bubble of our lives, and to see how is it that God is calling us forward to move closer and closer to Himself, so that we can see Him, so that we can touch Him. And never think that He has abandoned us, but only that the walls are too high sometimes for us to see Him. There is this beautiful scene in which the man in confinement finds himself on a break. He is led outside to catch some air. And the sun is hitting him. But the sun, and he just wants to feel the sun in his face. And as the sunset sets in a desperation, he stretches his hand so that the sun will touch at least his fingers. That is a sign of hope, that there is something else out there. In the culture we live in today, sometimes we just get so caught up with so many doings and so many things that very many of them do not make any sense. We need to feel the face of God. We need to feel His touch. We need to see Him. We need to be in touch with Him. We need to talk to Him. We do not know when He's coming, but the expectation itself creates an anxiety within, as it were, point of a void inside each heart of our hearts, because we want Him to be here, to come, to touch our hearts. Watch, therefore, Jesus says, for you do not know when the master of the house will be coming, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or in the morning. But He will come. That is our hope. The season of Advent turns us to look for God, for Jesus, for the Son of Justice who is about to come into the world. Darkness, or the feeling of God's abandonment, is not bad. I don't know if you ever felt like that, but I have. If one feels that God has abandoned us, the feeling itself is not bad. It shows that the soul is alive, that the soul is pulsating, that is yearning for something beyond itself, that nothing can satisfy it. In the season of Advent, we listen to the voice of our anxiety, the yearning within our hearts. Do not masquerade it with trying to purchase your way through the season, but actually listen to it. It is a period of prayer to listen to those voices of loneliness that sometimes cripple inside our hearts. Listen to it, because deep in that void, in that darkness, the voice of God is being heard. And we need to just stay quiet in this season and listen to it. As I was growing up, we had an Advent calendar at home. It was a house with the little candies inside. Hershey's Kisses, by the way. I'm giving a commercial. And we would put one candy on every window. It was like a little house to remind us. Obviously, I wanted to have the whole bag, but you had to only take one at a time. And that one at a time, it kind of reminds us that there is something greater coming. Just a small taste of the great thing that will come on Christmas. I invite all of us to not follow the world of consumerism who just wants to swallow Christmas all at once. Take it slow. If you haven't put up the tree, don't do it. Wait. He's coming. Eventually he'll get here. Wait. If you already put it up, take it down. That's going to be on Facebook so you can share with your friends. But no, don't take it down. Well, you don't have to, but you could. Don't dress it all at once. Take it slowly. Why? Because it builds up an anticipation, like that Advent wreath that we have here in the church. You want to build up anticipation to something great that would happen at your house the moment that you put baby Jesus in the nativity scene. Build the expectation slowly, spiritually slowly. Do not do what the world does. They want you to take everything all at once, and then by December 26th, everything is gone. Take it slowly. Put it slowly. Make it a spiritual journey as well, trying to experience the coming of the Lord in a slow manner. In any ways, the best deals are not on Black Friday, but actually on December 26th. Just so you know. Everything is cheaper. So just wait, be watchful, and keep Jesus Christ at the center of your Advent hope. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.